Okay, good evening, ladies and gents, Time Buster trainers and Star Bootcampers. How is everybody? Super excited. I've got Ricky in the green room, and we were both like bopping along to the 30-second countdown, which still gets me every week. So welcome. Make sure this is going to go across our YouTube channel now as well, which is Time Buster Training. I'm going to show you a little bit about that as well and show you where that is. So what is tonight all about? So it's Sunday updates plus, okay, leveling up. So we started a podcast and we had 10 fantastic guests and people that are talking about their inspirational fitness journeys. We've had experts in their field, and like I said, I will show you where that is in a second. So we used to jump on Sunday night and tell people about Time Buster training and Star boot camps. And welcome, by the way, to the boot campers up in Cumbria. And that's where it all started. We all started up in Cumbria. Then I moved down back to the northwest, and Martin is doing a fantastic job up in Cumbria. We've still got the boot camps going on in the northwest, in specifically Ellesmere Port. So we will have Martin on one Sunday as well, and we'll cover off, before we bring Ricky on, a couple of Sunday updates. So for the boot camp in the northwest in Ellesmere Port, we are still operating this week. We are outside, we're at the college. We were under floodlight this week, which is amazing. It feels like you're like an elite athlete in the dark all around you, and then the floodlit area that we're working on. So 6:30 start. We start 6:30. If you're new, or make sure you come down 10 minutes before, because we're all COVID safe nowadays. So we've got track and trace, we've got online booking, we've got hand sanitizer, and we've got 2 meter distancing. Who would have thought I would ever be reeling that off 12 months ago when we started outside last year? So 6:30 Tuesday, Thursday. If you haven't, or you don't know what I'm talking about, and you're in Ellesmere Port in your northwest area, send me a DM, ask me some questions, and I will send you the medical declaration forms to fill out online, and you can come along this week. Up in Cumbria, Martin will be updating the Facebook page. He'll be telling you some of the sessions that are on this week, and then the online booking system will mirror what sessions that he's running this week as well. Time Buster trainers. So if you don't know anything about Time Buster training, it's our online platform which we started on lockdown. So it's free to be in. It's an online community of like-minded people. Sherry has just jumped on and said hi from Israel. So she said, love Stu and Ricky. We said that she was going to come on supporting. Ricky's giving you a bit of a fist pump in the green room as well. So we have people we've had somebody from the Philippines, Singapore, Israel. It's all online, and we've got a 20-week library of workouts that we did online. We're currently going through a bit of a challenge rotation, and I'll tell you a little bit about that in a second. If you want to join us, it's a WhatsApp group and a private Facebook group, and you can come and join us. So just reach out, send me a DM, and I'll add you in there. So let me just show you quickly. So the challenge, I know the Time Buster trainers are on the edge of their seats because we've been doing something called Squattober. And we had a little bit of we've had a bit of squat overload, let's say. We were going to add 50 squats every week. So it's the 7 days of the current week. We started with 100 squats. We went to 150 squats. And let me just visually show you what we're going to next. Okay. So I'm just going to add the other screen in. This is where I do my graphics and stuff. So we were at 150 squats per day, as you can see there. Live. I know the Time Buster trainers are on because I can see that people are watching. So we are not going to 200 squats per day. You'll be glad to know. I like to mix it up a little bit. The idea was obviously feasible because it was Squattober. We are staying with squats. We are aiming, and I say aiming, I'll say that, explain that a little bit. If you don't do a day, it doesn't matter. You're not thrown out of the online community. We don't heckle or anything like that. It's an aim to do 100 squats per day. And I'm just going to add a little symbol here. Okay. So instead of going up 50 squats, we're going to add an exercise and a repetition each day. So the evening before the following day, moving from Monday the 19th till Sunday the 25th, I'm going to be adding an exercise. So we might, for example, we might as well tell you what tomorrow's is. So tomorrow aim to do 100 squats, good form, okay, range of movement over speed, plus 50 sit-ups. 50 sit-ups. I always encourage people to do in sets of 10 because I'd rather you do really focused attention for 10 reps and then have a little rest and go back again. And remember, you don't have to do them in one sitting, okay? You can do them 10 squats, 10 sit-ups, off you go. Just try and keep yourself when you're moving. So don't just get out from like sitting down for an hour and then just go into doing 20 squats, 20 sit-ups. Okay, so make sure you've done some movement and activity, whether you've dropped the kids off, you've gone for a walk with a dog, and then you come off and do your little session, or do them on the back end of a workout that you've done anyway. You've probably maybe gone onto the Time Buster Training private Facebook page, done a HIIT workout, and then added this onto the end. So while I'm on shared screen, let me just show you quickly. This is the Time Buster Training YouTube channel. So make sure you subscribe. If you hit subscribe, obviously I can't see it because this is my admin page. So hit subscribe, and then let me just show you very quickly. Let me go. Let me get rid of that banner. Get rid of that banner. How do I get rid of that banner? There we go. So in the top right corner, there's a bell. So notifications. So if I update anything, you'll know about it. Okay. So let's put the logo back on there, like branding and logos. So make sure you go down and you can see already. So this Sunday night update is going to be put in here each week now because, well, when I have a guest on anyway, we have 10 fantastic guests on here already from my history in fitness and health. Experts, inspirational stories. Stefano's in there, Katie's in there, Nat, who is a legend in the Time Buster training community, Rick Moylan, high performance coach. Very interesting perspective on high performance athletes and us normal people. We're exactly the same, just to give you a little bit of a spoiler alert. So there we go. Right, let's come off shared screen. So if anybody's got any questions about Time Buster Training or Star Bootcamp, please reach out to us on our Facebook pages. And this is the moment that I'm going to be getting Ricci in. I said I was going to be about 5 minutes. It's now 8 minutes into the live, and he's probably thinking, what is Stuart waffling on about? He's going to be WhatsApping me some stick in a minute. So Emma, hi, how are we doing? She's happy that we're mixing it up a little bit. She's loving this Sally squat workouts. Caroline, thanks for joining us. Make sure... let me just put this little thing on here. So make sure you comment and let us know who's watching and whereabouts you are in the world. So let me tell you a little bit about our guest. Let me hide that. There we go. So Ricci, I met Ricci at Team Bootcamp. I worked at Team Bootcamp in my transition out of the military. Amazing place to go and really kickstart your fitness journey. When Ricci arrived with us, he was actually in heart failure, which sounds a bit like, and it was, let me tell you, we had several conversations in the staff room that Ricci knows about now, about the risk factor of training somebody. And he wasn't able to be trained for 4 weeks, I think it was, we were just saying about, and then he was just able to walk around, be in the environment or out of the current environment he was in, encouraged to move. The first few sessions he came to, he literally just walked to us and walked back again. And that was with rests, sitting down, etc. So talk about it as a trainer, being exposed to the variety of different fitness abilities and levels at Team Bootcamp was absolutely phenomenal for my development as well. We are very good friends now. I keep in contact with Ricci and make sure he's still doing what he said he's been doing. And we keep in contact a lot. So when I was doing the podcasts, he was my next guest on the list. And we stopped it. And I'm just really pleased that he's free to come and join us tonight. So without further ado, let's bring Ricci on and find out a little bit more about his journey. So here we go. Ricci, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Not too bad. I'm just going to have a little play around the background so we get rid of that distraction. There we go. So Ricky, thanks for joining us tonight.
No, thanks for having me on.
Feels a bit strange, doesn't it, doing it all formal?
Yeah, I know, yeah.
So, a little bit of an introduction from me there, but just introduce yourself, tell everybody about who you are, a little bit about your background and where you are in the world. I know we're in the UK, but tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so sort of to elaborate on Stu's story, I guess. At the time I went to Team Bootcamp where I met Stu, as he said, I was in heart failure. I had high blood pressure. I've got asthma. I have my whole life had asthma. I was 35 and a bit stone. Fitness levels, weirdly, I would play football a couple of times a week. I would go to the gym and have a personal trainer, but the food was always beating me in my day to day. And then it sort of came to a point where everyone close to me in my life was sort of very worried, but didn't want to say it or didn't know how to say it to me, for fear of upsetting me or fear of putting me into a worse place in my head. Because I definitely was looking back in a place of depression and definitely wasn't looking to go out of the house, wasn't looking to do anything. I didn't have a job. It was a fairly dark time. Never diagnosed, never took any medication or anything. But so it became the best option for me was to it was two options. There was give up and inevitably, probably before I was 40, die in reality, or do something about it and fight my way out. So some very good family friends found Team Bootcamp and put me in contact with Paula and Craig, who own and run the place. They came and met me in Essex, where I am, Colchester, Essex, and they sort of said, "Well, yeah, we'd love you to come and and we'll do whatever we can to help you." And so through the medical checks for going to Bootcamp, that's when I found out that I had heart failure and that I had high blood pressure and all the issues that I had underlying. So like Stu said, I didn't train at all for my first 4 weeks. It would literally be I'd come out to the sessions, which was 50, 100 metre walk, if that, Stu. Yeah. I'd come and stand or sit on the side and I'd maybe encourage people that were doing the session, or I'd just sit and, when the trainers had their back turned, I was lifting up a barrel or, trying to do a squat, and they were like, no, we can't, insurance, they'll have our heads. So I was really keen. I was in such a good place mentally to start, because I was just that keen I'd made that decision, and that sort of click in my head had happened of, right, this is it now. This is the fight you have to have. So it went on. So it was about 4 weeks no training, then slowly built into the training, and then it sort of developed to the point where 9 months down the line, when I finished my time as a camper or a client there, I'd lost 14 stone. Obviously, fitness had improved. I could run 5K without stopping, which was a bit of a difference. And all those things. Really.
It's not until I reminded myself about that this evening, about from not even being able to walk 50 meters, 100 meters without having to stop.
Yeah.
To running a 5K, and it didn't happen overnight, and we'll obviously cover that.
Not.
But yeah,
definitely not. Yeah, so that's sort of the journey there, and then now developed into my background is in hospitality and catering. My family have always had sort of restaurants and hotels and stuff, so I've grown up as a chef, and team had a need for a chef at the same sort of point as I was sort of coming to a natural end of my time there as a client, and luckily it kind of worked out really well, and I ended up taking on the job there as a chef, and I'm now head chef at Team. I run all the sort of food and nutrition side of what the campers get there and what the clients get there, along with Craig on the nutrition side. And yeah, it's just a different world I'm in now to where I was 2 and a bit years ago when I first went to camp.
But I think we'll cover off a bit later on about like the future, but it's very much not the end of the journey, is it?
Absolutely not. I mean, the journey's never ending. It's one of those things where, I think, like for everyone, this year's been really bloody difficult for me. And I know it's been the same worldwide. There's been aspects of having lockdown and furlough and all those things that have happened that have been amazing. But I know that also it's been massively detrimental to some other parts of my life. My weight has crept back up again because the gyms were closed, and I got an injury before lockdown where I couldn't run or do anything too much intense body weight exercises. So it was like, well, now what do I do? So I wasn't really exercising, and then I had to move back home to Essex with my mum and fell into old habits. It's natural things that happen. So it's now that point where I've come to another point, and I'm sort of, let's start again. Let's reboot, restart. Like I said in the description, it's not how many times you fall down, it's how many times you get back up again, and how you do it. So that's where we are. That's where it always is.
You just reminded me that one of the most important things I think I was at Team for about 18 months, And that's one of the things that came up majority of the time, is that what we were able to give clients, and we worked on them moving forward in the future, is about that reset button.
Yeah.
Like when we were at team and working with people with the planning, the prep, the psychology of it as well, it's like people left and the reset buttons were within 24 hours. They weren't, oh, I've had a bad Monday, so I'll start next Monday. Or I've had a bad month and it's the first of the month, so I'll start next month.
Yeah, 100%.
Situations. It's like giving people the accountability and the implementation of, there are distractions, there are issues, nobody's perfect, but just reset quicker.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's that thing that the same as what you teach everyone, the same as what they teach at camp, is that there's no trick, there's no new developing technology that's going to change your life as far as fitness and weight loss and mindset journeys go. It's actually just about realizing that those really simple things like planning, like you say, the learning to sort of reset quicker, the figuring out how your mindset works, what works best for you, all those little steps that we all know about, we've all learned about in different stages of our lives, in different aspects of our lives as well. We might be really good in business at planning our whole day and structuring our days and getting through our tasks, and we're brilliant in our career, but then when we go home, our nutrition's completely off, and we don't train at all. So it's really about learning those things and going, oh, actually, if I just stick to a plan or implement what I know already in another part of my life, pull that into this part of my life, everything starts to fall in place really quickly. Like for me, a big thing, sleep. I've been working I know you had Steph on your podcast, didn't you?
Yeah.
Who I think I met at boot camp once, very briefly. But yeah, so like sleep was always a huge thing. It still is for me. I still battle with my sleep because I have sleep apnea as well. So it's just like once that gets better, so now I've got a new sleep apnea machine, I find it a lot easier to get sleep. I'm sort of working back on my meditations. That's all automatically, I feel so much better during the day, just from that one little thing that I've changed. A massive change overall has happened.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's what we sort of learn, isn't it? What we teach as well.
Yeah, and just to pick up on what you were saying, that again, the more you look into the fitness health industry, the more it gets confusing. And I just like to say that, like you alluded to there, that I just say to people, it's like your fingerprint. It's completely unique to you. And I've got some great guests that are going to come on and join us in the coming weeks that have had really kind of good, but also really bad experiences with the fact of following a certain thing that they thought was good for them.
Yeah.
But turned out that it was good for a lot of people, but not them, because they weren't everybody, the sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Without going too scientific into it. So Ricky, tell us a little bit about, you came to camp at 37 stone, was that right?
35 and a half-ish.
35 and a half. Tell us about how that happened.
How did that happen? So was born big, like was one of those sort of stereotypical, was a big kid all my life. A little bit of it was started off by asthma. So when I was born with asthma, they took sort of 4 or 5 years before they got me onto any kind of inhaler. So it was they were just pumping full of steroids to get my asthma under control. So that messed with my metabolism a lot, which is what the initial kickoff for my weight gain was, and messing with my metabolism and my thyroid and stuff. And then from there, it kind of became that thing of the psychology then sort of started to outweigh the genes and the medical side of it. So you start sort of becoming the person you're putting out, if you know what I mean. Yeah. So, because I was the big kid, then I had to live up to that thing. And then I would start eating more, then your stomach grows. So then you're always hungry. So you eat more because you want to feel the hunger. And then the more you eat, the bigger you get, the less you want to exercise. It's kind of just becomes that cycle that we all know very well, in whatever way we know it. And it just became spiraled. And then probably a year before I came to camp, I got to a point where there was a lot of rubbish going on in my life. My parents split up. I lost a job that I really enjoyed through a silly error. I was, wasn't in the best place mentally with my own body image anyway. And just lots of little things were sort of picking away at me. And then it became, when my parents split, I had to move out of the family home. So I moved in with my friend and his family, because that was the only place I could go for free. So I'm thankful to them. But I then just became this sort of, hermit, basically. I would be in the room, wake up. I was probably 27, 28 stone at that point, I reckon. Mm. And this was in the space of maybe 3 or 4 months before I went to camp. I would wake up, had some breakfast and watch TV, go to Tesco's or any supermarket, buy a load of other supermarkets are available.
Not quite that big yet, Ricky.
Yeah, I know. Just being careful. I didn't wear any branding on purpose. No, go to the supermarket. I'd buy probably 2 carrier bags full of just snacks, crisps, food, sandwiches, whatever it was. Go back, eat that while I watch TV all day. Go down for dinner with my friend's family. Go back up and watch TV all day, and that was the routine for probably 3-4 months. And that's when I gained at least 5 stone in that period, so 3 months. So it's quite a lot of weight on in quite a short period of time.
Yeah. Can I just remind you and me, and it'd be quite funny this. I remember that obviously everybody, including instructors, and I know there's loads of stories that we could tell, but when I used to have a little bit of I've had a rubbish week, I've eaten too much, and then you would be quite
bring you back down to earth.
Tell us what you've eaten, and I'd be like, well, I've had a couple of packets of crisps, and I've had this, that, and the other, and you'd be like, Stu, let me tell you what eating a lot of food is. It was like, oh right, okay, yeah.
Yeah. When you've had 3 takeaways in one day, and a packet of cereal plus some other stuff, that's when you've eaten a lot in a day.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit, because obviously we knew you were coming to camp. You were ready, weren't you? And again, it was a little bit frustrating that we couldn't train you straight away.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that moment. And I know there was a little external factors there with other people and that sort of being honest and open that something needed to change. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about making that decision to do something about it.
Yeah, I think it was one of those things where I've always known I needed to do something about it. Like I said, I've been big all my life. I actually first joined the gym when I was 14, and I had a personal trainer from that age pretty much through my entire life. In fact, the gym owner at that point was a friend of the family, and she let me train at her gym for free just to try and help me out. And I used to do karate, and I'd try and join every club I could. But it was just one of those things where, because of my fitness was so bad, and because my nutrition was bad, I was never able to excel in what I wanted to excel in. So I always just would give up and got really fed up with it. So I got to this point, and it was like, what do I do? What is the last? It was kind of like last resort, because I'd always hated the idea of having surgery for my weight loss, mostly because I knew that it doesn't fix anything. It fixes the physical problem, but it doesn't actually fix the real root problem, which is your mind and what your brain is doing to override what you actually know is sensible and real. So it was like, that's one option. What's the other option? And actually, I didn't realize in the UK they had residential boot camps like that. I always thought it was really an American sort of fat camp kind of thing. I didn't really think it was a thing in the UK. And like you say, there was external factors. There was family friends who sort of went, we found these places. What would you think? So I went away for literally a couple of days, and just sat and actually only agreed to meet Paul and Greg. I didn't agree to go. I just said, I'll meet them because they're coming, sort of thing. But I don't know whether I want to go or not. And it was after speaking to them that they explained what the program was there, the Conquer Food program that we run through there, and they explained how things ran there and the other people that had been there, and just hearing that people who were bigger than I was had been and had lost, insane amounts of weight. People like James and Ravi, who lost 20 stone in their time there, and you're like, well, okay, this is doable. There's people out there who've done it without having a surgery, without having any external factors apart from going to this camp and doing something. And I just felt, I think it was just an instant connection with Paula especially, and Craig obviously, but Paula especially, me and Paula get on really well. So I think I just sort of went, right, if there's a place I'm going to do it, it's there. So yeah, it was literally like that light bulb ding moment of, well, this is the thing that I needed. This is what I've actually needed all the time, but I've never known it was there.
And then you arrive, and Reg, me, Taz, and Ash, we just like...
yeah. And then I was like, oh, God.
Oh, God, here we go.
Can I turn around now? No. Yeah.
But yeah, just the more we've not spoken about this in this much detail for quite a while, sort of those 9 months of all the things that happened. And John, just going to break there. So anybody who's watching, at the end of this, I'm going to ask you guys for any questions you've got for Ricky as well. So just as we're going through, have a think about some questions that we can come to at the end. So you've told us all the story, really. The only thing that I'm sort of going to pick you up on a little bit is that it just seems like this just happened.
Oh yeah, no, that's not the case.
So
Yeah, no, you're right.
tell us a little bit about, I said about how you got prepared to change. Tell us a little bit about the ups and downs of those 9 months.
Yeah. Like you said, the first few weeks was really difficult for me. I was so ready, like we say, when I turned up, I literally was like somebody had just put a new Ferrari engine into a Toyota. I was so ready to like show what I could do and give it everything I had. So I was stood doing nothing, thinking, "Oh my God, what is going to happen here?" And then I had a little bit of a breakthrough my first week when I didn't do any exercise and just stuck to the diet and the mindset plan. And I lost 22 pounds in a week, and that just went, "Oh, okay, so maybe it's not just about exercising all the time that's going to change me here."
Yeah.
So there was that, and then it was just like, as you said, there's a lot of ups and downs. Camp is a really intense, full-on experience, but also like life-changing throughout. You're so invested in everyone else who comes. Even as another camper, I know you guys get super invested in the journey of the people that come there. And it's the little things like Reg, one of the trainers there, he gets very animated if people are sort of doing themselves out of their own journey. Like if people come in and he's found out they've been cheating on the food, or they haven't, they're not turned up to session because they don't want to, he will lose it. But you kind of go, well, he's losing it because he cares. He's not losing it because he's a dick. So it's kind of, there is that. So yeah, it's hard. It is hard. 5.5 hours a day of exercise every day, apart from Friday. Sticking to a really, I want to say it's not a strict nutrition plan from the point of view of it's like, if you came, you wouldn't go, "Oh God, I've got to eat this food all week," because, well, I would say that I'm the chef, but but it's a really diverse diet. It's a very, in my opinion, eye-opening diet. Or nutrition plan, whatever you want to call it. I know some people think diet's a dirty word. I don't. I think it's a really good word, but that's just my opinion on it.
Eating.
See, I don't like that either. But there you go. Mindful eating. Mindful eating is super important.
Yeah.
We used to talk about that a lot when we were at camp, didn't you? Yeah. Just the little things like putting your knife and fork down between mouthfuls, which was something you were doing yourself, and you were like, "Why don't you try this, guys?" And we were like, "Oh, okay, we'll try that." And it was weird, like it didn't feel right. But it's good, and like being very much aware whenever you eat anything, even if it's a little snack, you don't just shove it in your face, carry on walking, carry on writing the thing you're doing. You literally stop. You go, "Right, I'm eating something now. I've enjoyed that bit of food. It was nutritional. It was really healthy. It was delicious. All those things. Right, back to what I was doing." So it's just taking those moments to go, to let your mind be aware of what you're doing. So it's the same as everything you do. If you're writing a really important email, you wouldn't be doing it while you were trying to text a friend and while you're watching a film. You'd do it and you'd be concentrating on it. So it's the same with everything. If you're present and you're aware and you're mindful of what you're doing, it's going to be more important. It's going to make more of an impact. So yeah, that was a bit of a tangent there.
I think also one of the other things that was a big eye opener for me, and we've in our family, is about portion sizes.
Yeah.
And again, probably not as much as we should, but we have come in and out of that. And I think it was one of the things that I thought was really amazing with clients' experiences of that. Because like you said, it's a bit initially like, "Oh, my life, that's different."
Yeah.
But it was amazing how much it wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
For a lot of campers down the line, it was like, "I can't believe." This one of the things, wasn't it, after a week, that people said, "I can't believe that I've been able to do as much as I have on the correct portion sizes."
Exactly. That's what I always say to people we do like a weekly. Yeah, we do like a weekly chef's chat now. Me or Nicola, whoever else, one of us cooking, and what people always go is like, "How many calories do we have in a day?" And I always say, we don't count calories at camp. It's not how we operate. It's not part of our ethos. Our ethos is about portion size, about balancing your plate, all the sort of basics done right. And they always go, but how many roughly? And I can guess, I don't know, maybe 1,000-ish, maybe 1,200. I really wouldn't know. But they go, "Really, is that all?" I'm like, "Well, yeah, but did you feel hungry at any point?" "Well, a little bit, but okay, but did you die?" "No." "Okay, did you feel like you were ill?" "No." Okay, did you manage to do 5 hours of exercise, really intense exercise every day? Yeah. So do you think that when you go home and you're going to be doing maybe 25, 30 minutes of exercise a day and sitting on an office chair, that you need to have any more than you had here? Oh, no, obviously not. Right, okay, cool. Yeah. So,
I say to people, obviously, the amount of people that have got that mentality of sticking exactly to what they do for that time in the boot camp, probably very little. And again, we're sort of going from, let's just call it a 1 to 10 scale, that 5 is the 5, 6-ish is the optimum. You're probably currently at 10.
Yeah.
And then you come to camp and you experience sort of 4, 5.
Yeah.
Then you're going to go home and experience 6, 7 for a consistent amount of time. So you've come from a 10 down to a 6 and a 7. So it's sort of educating, isn't it? A little. Well, it is very much educating.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. It's a hugely important part of the whole program. Is even if you're only coming for a week, you still get a nutrition and a fitness and a training brief every week, because it's just so important to make sure people are going away with understanding of why what they've done has worked, and not just going, oh, I came, I trained like an idiot, and I ate smaller portions of nice food, and I lost weight. So that's all I need to know. No, you need to know why it works, because if you don't know why, you're going to go home and you're not going to understand how to do it yourself. That's kind of the key to it. But yeah, so back to the actual question of how it was like during the 9 months. Yeah. It was tough. Yeah, it was tough. There was a lot of, it's like I said, started off with the frustration of not being able to do anything, then built into the exercise. And once I got into that point where, probably 2 or 3 months in, I was in the rhythm of, like, I was doing everything. I was in every session. I was going on the walks. The walks were my big battle. I hated the walks with a passion, because so on a Sunday and a Tuesday, we go on a 3-hour hike every week, twice a week. And I just hated it, because for me, it was the kind of exercise where, like Taz used to say a lot, he would say, you have to get from A to B. And that's why it's brilliant, because you haven't got, that's it. It's that simple. You get from A to B and then you're done. But I'd be like, yeah, but that means I have to get to B to finish. Whereas if I'm doing a HIIT session and I'm like, right, my leg's hurting, I can just stop and go somewhere else. Do you know what I mean? Whereas on a walk, we're going up in the Shropshire Hills a lot. So, you go, you start going uphill. If you can either turn back or you can carry on, either way is doing the same distance, you're still going to be walking. So it was like, for me, it just hurt my body. It hurt my mind. I really found it boring. It wasn't enjoyable for me at all. Flick forward to month 6 or 7, I was at the front of every walk. I was really loving it. I was wanting to get to the top so I could have as much time as possible to take pictures of the incredible scenery around me with all my friends that were there. And that was like a bonus to me. Like, the walk days were fun because I could just, it's easy. I'm not going to do, HIIT, green PT, cardio, and a boxing session. I'm going to literally do a walk and then do a low impact session, which was fine. I was like, this is an easy day. I can just relax on this one and I'll still be at the front of the walk. Whereas being at the back of the walk was the hardest thing in my life when I started, It was those little wins as well. I think it was really good to have people like you and Taz and Ash there, just reminding me of the little wins, because I was very conscious of, like, I need to get to this weight because I want to have my skin surgery and I want to do this with my life and I want to be a PT and I want to, I've now done my NLP and my hypnotherapy course, which is awesome. I'm so happy I've got that, and I've started using it as well at camp, which is brilliant. But I was just so focused on those big things and being at 12 stone and getting the skin surgery and and I was like, I'm not there yet. Why am I not there yet? And you guys were like, but remember, you couldn't walk 4 months ago. Remember, you couldn't stand up for more than an hour or two at a time back then, and now you're running up a hill in Shropshire. What's let's pick our battles. Let's focus on the wins, not on the negatives here.
As well, isn't it? Like, put into context.
100%. It's so easy to see other people's wins for them, but it's very hard when you're in the moment to see it. And it's the same with the change physically as well. You can do 3 or 4 months at camp and still think, well, I'm still big. I still don't like how I look in the mirror. But somebody else will be coming up to you, saw you at the beginning and saw you again then, and they're going, whoa, you've changed so much. Oh my God, you look amazing. And you're like, no, I don't. I don't feel it, so I don't believe you. But just the little bit, enough reinforcement, enough people going to it all the time, going, oh, you're looking good, you're looking better, oh, you're so much fitter, oh my God, I can't believe you can run up that hill faster than me now, Little things like that. And you get a lot of people come back at camp as well, don't you? You have a lot of recurring sort of campers who will come back every couple of weeks or once a month or 6 months, or whatever it is. And you see their faces all the time, and then they'll come back and they'll see your progression and they'll be like, oh God, okay. I could lap Ricci on the paddock within 5 seconds before, And now I can't keep up with him. And I'm just like, this feels great, you know?
Yeah.
So those little wins were great. And the downs, the major downs for me were injuries. I hated it. It was the same thing the whole way through. Whenever I couldn't do what I wanted to do, it pissed me off. So, you know, I got a pretty nasty, my back was always bad because of my weight anyway. And then I probably must have been about 3 or 4 months in, because it was around Christmas time. My back just went one week and I couldn't train all week. And I was so pissed off all week, and I just was literally laid up in the living room watching TV, and I was watching everyone else go out, and they were getting wet and cold, and they're like, "Oh my God, not another session." I was like, "I want to be out there with you," and they're like, "Why? You're in by the fireplace watching TV. Love it."
Yeah.
I was like, "No, I hate this," and I still lost weight that week, so it was like, oh, okay, maybe my body needed the rest, maybe my body was asking for the rest. And then like little niggles and little injuries all the way through. They would be the major down points for me. But yeah, and it's such an emotional roller coaster at camp, because you meet so many amazing people and they leave, and it's a really weird feeling when you're there a long time. Like, most people are there for 1 or 2 weeks, and then you get the people that are there for like a month, and then you have the conker foodies who are there for 12 weeks mostly.
Mm.
So being there for 9 months, I saw 3 different conker food groups basically come through, if not 4, with the overlaps and whatever. And it was like, I would make really close friends with some of them, and then they'd be going back to the normal world, and I was like, well, I'm still here. Like, I'm not going anywhere. I'll see you, I guess. But it was just like I had moments where it was like, oh, can I do this again? Can I go through another week of making friends with people and then them leaving after a week and I'm still here, kind of thing? So it was hard. It was definitely hard. And I definitely had moments where I was like, I'm going to throw in the towel, because this is just, I like mentally I'd given up. But I'm glad I never did.
So why didn't you? Why didn't you?
Why didn't I? Think just because.
Except for us.
Internally. Internally, yeah, you guys wouldn't let me literally you'd tie me up. No. I think mentally it was just it was that thing of, I would let myself, it's like you said, things got, like, you got better at failing. Like, so like before, when I probably would have thrown the towel in, because like it was just hard and it was just boring, or it was just, oh, not this session again, because you know you're there long enough, the trainer's going to repeat some stuff, like, obviously. So you're just like, oh, I don't know if I can go out there and do another tire flip or do another burpee. Yes, burpees have been the bane of my life for over 2 years now.
Can't believe we took nearly 40 minutes to mention burpees.
I know, right? I know. God, I still will never forget that power hour when me and Snarly came out for power hour with you, and you made us tire flip and then burpee off the tire for the entire length of the paddock. And we got to the end, and you were like, right, really good. Now do it back. And we would just look to you like, it's like you just murdered us. It's like you just thrown a dagger into our hearts. We would literally look to you like, I'm only joking. And we were like, oh my God. The relief was insane, because it was one of the most disgusting things.
Probably one of my weak points of like, I can't believe I let you roll the tyres back.
Yeah, I know.
If anybody's watching who doesn't know, what at the end of the week, we did the power hour, didn't we? And it was like, if anybody thinks they've got a last little bit, it was almost like a bit of an insult if people came out to the power hour. You and Snarly were there long term, weren't you? So you're like, yeah, let's do an extra session. And it was like, let's put you through. And for me, it was, again, what you just mentioned there. In the military, we did it quite a few times with false finishes, and really working on that mental resilience and that kind of, how mentally strong are you? Because if you'd have been able to keep, and it's that keep going when you're tired, making those decisions. Obviously, the military use it for that reason. Tired, you're still able to operate and push yourself forward. But it builds character, doesn't it? It builds what can I do with myself? And do you know what? Just to give you a little bit of a, and you know this anyway, but the amount of people used to come and then be amazed about what you could do. Burpees, walks, all that. And again, this is later on, but not necessarily quite soon on, wasn't it? When you made quick progress.
I did. I progressed really quick. As I said, like before I came, I was still maintaining kind of a level of fitness. For my size, I was fitter than I should have been for 100%. But it was just literally the physical weight of my body was stopping me from doing what I wanted to do, and the size of me. Like, I couldn't do a sit up, not because I didn't have the strength or the body or the fitness, but because my stomach was in the way. Like, it wouldn't let me move that much, you know. So it's crazy looking back, you know, that I couldn't you know, there was, I mean, and like to the very base of my life, it wasn't even exercise that was hard. You know, having a shower was like next to impossible. You know, going to not to get too rank, but, you know, going to the toilet was really difficult. You know, I couldn't do things for myself. And I think I was probably only like a month or two away from being one of those people who needed a carer because they're fat, you know. So it really was like that moment. Yeah, I think it was just a really big moment when I ended up making the decision. But yeah,
and again, just from what we do now, and obviously the reason I ended up at Team was because of probably the similar reason that you ended up at Team. You saw I still embody in what I do with my training and Star Bootcamp and Time Buster trainers. I call it, I want people to do something over nothing. It doesn't matter what, and that's why we do Mindful Movement Week. This is why we do the challenges. This is why we've got that mentality of like-minded people coming together, of help, support. Some people disappear for a couple of weeks, but they're there and they see the accountability of what people are doing. We're doing the challenges at the minute, obviously, as people know, but it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. We're giving people the opportunity that if you miss a day, it doesn't really matter. Just to let the Time Buster trainers that are currently still watching know, it does matter. No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
Do you know what, though? The thing is, there's days where you wake up and you're like, I'm not doing anything today. My mind has won here. I've been awake for 10 minutes and my mind has already told me I'm not going to do anything today. Yeah. And those days are the best days to make breakthroughs. You will get your best achievements from those days. Because if you can get up that day and get out of bed, that's a win. If you then get into the shower and brush your teeth and do your morning routine, you've had another 3 or 4 wins there. And then you get down, you have breakfast, and if you make a really good choice at breakfast, massive win. And then it might be that you go, right, well, I'm up. I need to get dressed. What should I put on? Should I put on my jogging pants and my jumper, or should I put on my gym gear? Well, I'll put my gym gear on. So now my gym gear's on. I'm sat in my room in my gym gear. Well, I'd be pretty stupid not to go and do something now, wouldn't I? So you've actually made 5, 6, 7 decisions from the second you wake up going, I don't want to do today, to actually going, well, I'm going to have to do something today now because I've made those decisions that were positive decisions that have led me to a positive outcome, even though I started at a really negative place.
Yeah. And do you know what? Very weirdly, but you just reminded me of something. When I was I did 6 months out in Oman, one of the last tours I did in the military, and 2 of the admin girls that were operating out there with us, they used to sleep in their training kit. Because they used to be like, they went through a phase of trying to get up and train in the morning. And they both used each other for accountability. However, it got to the stage where they had to sleep in their training kit, jump out, put the trainers on, and go for a run or go to the gym. And it just worked for them.
Yeah.
It goes back to that, whatever works for you.
Oh, absolutely.
Something over nothing. And again, finding that kickstart accountability. And again, currently, it's working really well because all this lockdown, all the COVID situation, having the accountability of seeing other people and having the group, and the boot camps are still operating, obviously, outside, groups of people coming together, having a bit of laugh, having a banter, but online as well. It's great that we're able to reach out to all these different places to come together. So just before I get you to talk a little bit about what's happening now and maybe look for the future.
Yeah.
I'm just going to put a little thing up here. So if anybody's got any questions for Ricky, he's going to get a bit nervous, isn't he? Yeah. So I'll leave that up. Any sort of questions, comments about the chat we've just had, and we'll just carry on. If anything comes up, I'll read it and then put it on when we come to the end. So where are you at now, and where are you going? Tell me a little bit about what's going on.
So right now I'm still, like I say, working at Team as a chef, but with lots of really exciting things going on coming into the future. Like I said, weight-wise, my weight has crept back up again during this year because it's been one of those years where I've let the decisions be made for me by my habits as opposed to making conscious positive decisions. But I've had a real breakthrough in the last couple of weeks, actually, so it's really good timing for this interview, I should say. I started seeing somebody for counselling. Well, not counselling, it's like, it is spiritual. I know not everyone's into that, and I'm not particularly spiritual in my ethos, but I don't think you have to believe in the sort of universal sort of spiritual way, but if you believe that things can change because of what you've been told or what you've learned, then great. I think everything's a learning opportunity. And she's really helped me realize that there was outside, not influences because it was me that was doing it, but there's been other things in my life that have actually made me make poor decisions, and that I now have to make the decisions for myself and make them for the right reasons. It's about I'm now writing a manifesto of my life. So I'm going to write out what I want my life to be from today, not from in 10 years time, not in 5 years time, literally what do I want? What is it? And so I write that out. I'm still in the process of doing that. Write that out, and then it's going to be a matter of every time I have to make a decision, and little things what you're going to have for breakfast, whether you're going to put on your gym gear or your suit or your training or your whatever. Those decisions now have to be to achieve what I want, what my manifesto says it is. And then as a byproduct, everything else happens. So for now I'm in a really good place. I've started training again a little bit more because I haven't really trained properly for about 6 months. I did the on session during the beginning of lockdown with you guys on Time Buster. And I've done a couple of the challenges. I've not done all of them. And for me, I'm you may not realize it from listening to the podcast we've just done so far, or the chat we've had so far, but I really don't like training. I absolutely hate exercise. The only exercise I enjoy is team sports. That's literally that's.
You just remind me about some
team events
things that happened when we were at team.
We were. Yeah. Anyway, I've got a very bad.
We won't go into that.
That's another conversation for another podcast. So I don't actually like training. I find it really hard to enjoy it. And for me, the enjoyment I get from training is when I can encourage other people through my own training. That's why I think when I was at team, I was very much that person who would be like the hype man for the group, because I couldn't I don't know if you'll remember, obviously I was always very vocal in sessions. I was always trying to make sure everyone else was kind of in it as well. And if there was a team challenge in one of the sessions, it was always very heated, shall we say. But yeah, so going forward, my big plans are with team is we're going to be starting a cook school, which is going to be awesome. So I'm going to be running that for them. So we're going to be doing sort of weekends and one-day cooking retreats to learn how to cook like really tasty, nutritious food that's going to, give people the opportunity. You can come and you won't have to have cooked once in your life, and you can come and you could be another chef, but you're going to be learning something new, because I've learned so much in the last year and a half of being a chef there. It's just nutrition, it's the same as what I said earlier about just general life. The basics are still the basics in whatever you do. Yeah. There's no real magic wand. There's no, secret answer that everyone's hiding from the world. It's really simple. Food is so simple to make a really nutritious, tasty meal that you could eat every day, and you would have positive outcomes, not just in your weight, but in your brain and your gut health and your just general everyday life. You'll feel more energy. We always used to say at camp, Monday and Tuesday was always a really tricky day, because that would be when people were having their sugar crash. Yeah. So the majority of people that came to camp, not everyone, because we get some really fit, health conscious people come to camp, but a lot of the people would be coming off the back of a quite poor nutrition. And so they would come Monday or Tuesday having had no sugar in their diet really for those 2 or 3 days, would be feeling like absolute crap. There'd be headaches, they'd feel sick. They'd be like, oh, I can't train because I feel like I'm going to die. And you'd be like, yeah, that's normal. Get out in the paddock now and run. Don't even give me that. So yeah, it was always like a thing. And you actually notice once you push through that, and once you start maintaining that low sugar or low carbs in general diet or nutrition plan, whatever you want to call it, healthy eating, you will start to feel better mentally as well as physically. Your sleep will improve naturally. Your thoughts will improve. I'm so much more clear-headed since I've started eating clean again. I went through a really bad patch a couple of months ago where I was eating a lot of sugar again. Not necessarily eating as much as I would have before, but I was just sugar was definitely back in my diet without even thought. And my head was foggy. I was not making sensible decisions. I was at work. I was like, what's going on today? I don't know where I am, that sort of thing. And I was like, why am I like this? And a lot of it was because other stuff in my life. But that was also, as soon as I started eating clean, my brain started to defog instantly.
And also, just to jump in there, that the people, and you'll know this as well, but the other people, and I have it as well, but I know when I'm not hydrated enough.
Oh God, yeah.
Water.
Super important. Yeah, water, absolutely. When I was at camp, when I was a camper, I was drinking like 4 or 5 liters of water a day, every day. And you just feel, yeah, I've finished mine, but so
Ricky, it's not a competition.
Isn't it? It's true. And so and then other future stuff, really exciting. I'm started doing my hypnotherapy at camp, so I'm going to be offering that as an addition as a member of staff there, so I can do that. A little bit of coaching as well, potentially. And then still the same plans I've always had is that I'm going to eventually be getting my PT qualifications, maybe the next probably year to 18 months, I reckon, at the moment is the probably guide. It's because of Corona and all those things as well.
Yeah.
So that's still the plan, still very much on track for that. And then once I'm at my goal weight, the skin surgery will come, but not really planning for that now. It's kind of just like that'll be a byproduct of everything else that's happening. Yeah. And I'm also starting to write a book, which is also kind of exciting. I haven't even told you that. But yeah, so it's exclusive. But so it's going to be like a kind of a little biographical, but also a little bit NLP, self-help kind of genre, but with my own story woven into that. I started on that. It's going to be, I think it's going to be good. Well, no, I know it's going to be good, but it's just whether people like it or not as much as I do.
I heard it here first. And
exactly.
Do you know what you just said then as well is so true, because you've got to find, without going into too much detail of like why and all that sort of thing, but you've got to find that place where you're doing it for you.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big common thing, isn't it? In what you see people that find success is that you truly, and people think they're doing it for themselves, but they're not actually.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how many times that is a fault in the system of getting yourself from A to B, and B is the better you. And obviously helping with a group of like-minded people, coaches, external people, it really helps that process. But it's not just you can't just do it once. It's that you're going to fall off every now and again. It's going to be tested, the mindset side of things, the motivation, and it's that reset button again. We started off the conversation, wasn't it, about just get back on and keep moving.
Absolutely. And it's like I think it's Amy Cuddy. I think you've shown that video as well. There's a TED talk with Amy Cuddy where she talks about body positivity, not body positivity. Sorry, what's the word I'm looking for? How you hold your body. You know what I mean? Like posture, body language.
Body language. Oh yeah.
And I can't think what the word was. And anchoring and stuff like that. And she talks about how you shouldn't fake it till you make it. You fake it till you are it. So it's like but almost, I think what she's trying to say is that you won't achieve it until you start being that thing that you want to achieve. So instead of going, right, when I get to that point, I'll be where I want to be. Well, no, you start being that person today, now, and then you will get to the point you want to be as that person already. And then you'll actually just pass that, because that will actually become a secondary effect of become even greater than you were going to initially become, And it's, I think it's Maya Angelou that said it. It's like comparison is the thief of joy. And that's so true, that if you compare yourself to somebody else all the time, in any aspect, it could be about body image, which is huge these days and has been for years now, for especially teenage girls and boys. It's huge. Body image, how you look, how you're perceived in the social media world, and Instagram, TikTok, all these things. And it's so important to have the right t-shirt on and to know the dance routine to a stupid song that nobody actually cares about, but everyone who's doing them is like, please, it's going, accept me, because I want to be like you. You should never try to compare yourself or be like anyone else. You should just be, like you say, doing it for yourself, making yourself happy. And if the choices you're making are making you happy, as long as it's not at the detriment of anyone else in your life, you'll get to where you want to be without even trying.
Yeah, awesome. That's a great finish. I say finish, and we're not going to sit here in silence, but I've had up here for the last few minutes since we finished off this about, has anyone got any questions? So I know there's 4, 5, 6-ish people still watching. Majority time buster trainers, so they know Ricci, or they've seen you train.
Yeah.
Caroline's just put a thanks on there. Thank you so much. A lovely young man. take that.
It's not about you, that's about me, Stu.
But so yeah, just while people are potentially putting a question in and commenting, one of the big things that we're going to be doing moving forward, I know, Ricky, you've experienced this and you're so sort of in tune with this. One of my big passions is telling stories and telling and sharing, because especially in the fitness and health, and we said about comparison, but also going out there and finding inspirational stories, but also people that have just are having a similar experience can be quite life-changing, and taking that weight off your shoulders of, oh, right, that person's thinking exactly the same as what I think on every morning, for example. I remember on the podcast I did with Rick Moylan, who this is going to be on the Time Buster Training YouTube channel. He talked about elite athletes, like Olympic champions and world champions. They're like Ricky, they don't like training. They don't just spring out of bed and go, woohoo! So the big difference, he said, is that they're super tunnel focused on the outcome. And they're like, and they use visualization and lots of other things that we do know or don't know to get there, and to find that reset button in a split second over a reset button in 24 hours. Or because you know what I say about reset buttons? It's because, and a bit like we having that banter about saying that that's not eating a lot of food.
Yeah.
Because I say about when I gave the examples of reset buttons, I'd say, oh, you know, when you have that Monday and you go, oh, I've had a bad week, and then you go the next Monday. I used to have clients saying, Stu, my reset button is like 6 months. Like, I just give up for 6 months. But that's, as much as we joke about it, you hear other people talk like that all the time. We've had thoughts like that ourselves about our journeys in trying to achieve in lots of different areas of our life.
And language is so important, as we both know from like NLP point of view. Language is so important, and saying little things like, I know one of Craig's favorite ones is yet. Like the word yet can make such a big difference. You know, if you'll hear people say so regularly, I can't do this. But if you
just use a burpee as an example.
Okay. I can't do a burpee because I probably can't right now. But I can't do a burpee. But if you change it to I can't do a burpee yet. Okay, cool. So it's achievable now. There's a goal. You're automatically going, well, it's not unachievable because I can do it, but just not right now. You know, so it's just like one little positive word on the end of a sentence has changed everything mentally for you. And you'll start seeing it and you'll start noticing it. And the more you do it, the more you practice those things. Same with everything. I know practice makes perfect is quite a thrown away phrase these days, but it's true. You know, the more you practice something, the more it will work. It just naturally will. And that's good and bad. So if your practice is to go, well, every morning I'm going to have 3 bowls of cereal with sugar on it, and you do that every morning, then you're practicing to do something really bad, and you're going to get really good at doing it really bad. You know, so it is repetition's going to win out in the end.
Yeah. Awesome. And again, it's that practice makes perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect.
Yeah.
That perfect practice, it means that you're adding in that sort of test, adjust.
Yeah, exactly.
Add knowledge, understanding, rather than just keep going. But
that's why I get so annoyed when people are like, you'll see people go, oh, I'm on a keto diet because it's really working for me. I've lost this much weight. And people go, keto? Oh, God, keto's so bad for you. This, that, the other. Da, da, da. Oh, I read on, Facebook from Tim down the pub that, keto can give you cancer. Who's who? Like, who told you that? And where'd you get it from? Unless you've found that out yourself by doing the medical research yourself, or you've read a medical paper that tells you exactly what you've just said, I don't want to hear it. And why be negative? Somebody's just gone out there and said, this is working for me and I'm feeling better because of it. Do you know what you should say to that? Well done. I'm really happy for you. That's all that needs to be said. Not, well, do you know what? I do this because I'm way better than you. No, you're not. Yeah. You've just found something that works for you that's different.
You just touched on a thing there that I'm really and I spoke to somebody a couple of weeks ago about this, that they'd potentially gone down a line of being under a label, which you would keto, plant-based, vegan, all that sort of thing. But they've quite quickly said they use the label just to identify. But they said, we're not using a label. It's just the way we've chosen to eat. And you said about clean eating. It's just, that's what we're eating. And we're not going to call it a label. We're not going to stick it on a pedestal or try and just defend what it is. And it kind of goes down that thing of whenever you do these fitness and health phenomenons that they will tell you that they're the best things ever. They might work for 80% of the population.
Yeah.
You might not be in that 80% of the population. You might be in the 20% of the population. You might be in a 1% of the population.
Yeah.
So
interestingly, sorry, you just made me think of something. Sorry, I know we're running quite long now, but you made me think of something I hadn't mentioned is that during lockdown, I became part of a study about genetics in obese people.
Do you know what? I was going to ask you about this, and I didn't know whether you wanted me to bring it up. So yeah,
no, it's fine. Yeah. So so I've been in the study since I was about 15ish, maybe younger, because it's a child obesity study. And they kept my DNA on file and actually contacted me during lockdown and said, "Oh, we found this new gene and you've got it. Would you come into Cambridge where we're doing things to do some tests?" And I thought, well, I'm not doing anything on furlough, so yeah, sure, why not? And so I went in and they did these tests, and basically the gene I've got is a genetic defect in my X chromosome, which is to do with the starvation gene from when I was a caveman, or not me personally, but when, ancestry was from a caveman. And it's basically saying my body is so genetically messed up that it's going, even though you've just eaten, or even if you've just eaten, a banquet, my brain's going to be going, my genes are going, you're going to starve, make sure you're looking for food sources all the time. So my starvation gene is completely messed up, which also means my set points are messed up. So my body is always going to try and maintain the heaviest weight it's been. So if I'm at 20 stone, it's going to be like, right, don't let him lose any weight. If he's lost half a stone, right, we need to gain that half stone back as quickly as possible, because that's going to be his healthy weight. Again, 25 stone, 30 stone, whatever it is. And also probably a little bit with like energy levels and stuff. So it's going to not want me to burn as many calories because it wants to maintain everything. So yeah, so I didn't even know I've been fighting that my whole life, but it's been in there in my genetics. And so it kind of proves that I know, yes, if there is drug trials going on, I'm hoping to get into them to try and work with it, which is great. But I've also proved so far that I can lose 14 stone in 9 months even with that defect, and it's worked. So, there is still a little bit of mind over matter, even with a genetic defect. So I think we can always find a reason.
I remember when you first told me that a few months ago.
Yeah.
And obviously, I don't know whether you remember my first reaction. I was like, so you're not going to use that as an excuse, are you?
yeah, exactly.
So I was like, no, but again, it explains a lot. And again, 100%. It can take a lot of load off your mind. And you've just reminded me about something as well. We used to have quite a lot of clients come, and a lot of people I've dealt with in the fitness and health industry, they would have a condition that they would be taking medication. And this medication would say 75% of clients' studies are showing that you will put weight on in this time. And guess what? The psychology of you reading something that says 75, when you take this medication because of X, Y, and Z, proven studies have said, well, why do you have to be in that 75%? Yeah. Why don't you prove them wrong? And it's that lazy brain, that kind of believe everything you read, kind of, well, make sure you don't. And what happens is if you read that, you go, well, you then accept it's okay if you put weight on.
Yeah.
Because you're now on this medication that, you'll put weight on. You've self-fulfilling prophecy stuff going on there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the use of language, like you said, the self-talk is massive.
Yeah, and that bit probably meant like the 90% or 75% of people put on 0.5% of their body weight on top of what they were before, and you've actually gone, right, brilliant, I'm going to put on 20 pounds now because it's the best thing ever. This is an excuse to eat a chocolate cake because it's not my fault, it's the medicine.
Yeah, but again, we could there's so many examples, aren't there? And I think
100%.
we'll sort of finish on if anybody has any questions, put them in now because we're going to be finishing in a minute. We're kind of the overarching thing there over the chat we've had is probably language, self-talk, the control you personally have over your direction, and then kind of finding that kind of understanding of the why and the how to move forward and stuff there. So, Ricky, anything else to finish off with? Any sort of words of wisdom? Caroline mentioned about that we've had some good words of wisdom in the last hour.
I think the last thing I would say, just leave everyone with, is that anything you want is attainable, and everything that you want is obtainable as long as you do what you need to do to achieve it. So you can always have an outside factor you can blame. You can always have, well, we've spoken about this already so far, but there will always be something that you can attribute to the reason you haven't got something you already wanted. But actually the truth is, and the hard truth is, it's you. You're the only thing that can make what you want to happen. Nobody else, nothing else. And I know it sounds simple and people go, yeah, but I haven't got the money to do what I want to do. I'm not fit enough. I'm not in the right mind frame. But all those things are changeable by you. Nobody else, nothing else. And that is the absolute truth. Nobody can change what's happening to your life apart from you can. And realistically, nothing will happen in changing your life until you decide to change yourself and work on yourself. So I think work in, not out sometimes, is always super important.
Definitely. And then again, we used to say that to people and I think we worked on that for the month that you couldn't do any training.
Yeah.
It's that work in, not work out. And that's something that we talk about quite a lot. So, Ricky, thank you so much.
No, thanks for having me.
Those people who have really enjoyed tonight's guest speaker, Ricky, thank you so much for joining us. I'm just going to bring on, I was going to see what this looks like with two. Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Ooh.
So this recording is going to go on to our YouTube channel, which is Time Buster Training, with all the other guests that we've had on the more specific podcast version of this. But anybody that comes on, all these are going to be recorded and then put on the YouTube channel. So please go over there and check it out. I'm going to play with my... there we go. Like having a broadcasting. I could launch a rocket from my office at the minute. Definitely.
Oh my God.
2 screens, broadcasting live. So, guys, just leaves me to say thank you so much for joining us. Make sure that if you found this useful and you think somebody you know would find it useful, make sure you tag them in the comments. If you have got any questions for me or Ricky, please still pop them in the comments because we will see them. And then we're both tagged in this post. So good old social media and algorithms and all that shenanigans, and we will still see and be able to respond to them. Just to finish off with, so Time Buster trainers, remember tomorrow's specific challenge is 100 squats and 50 sit-ups. I don't want you to forget about that. That was an hour ago that I mentioned it. Make sure you find and then put some time aside for that tomorrow. Each day, the consistency will be the 100 squats, and we'll change the repetitions and exercise. I'm sure burpees will be coming out at some point. Ricky's so happy. Are you joining us this week, Ricky? Just to put you on the spot.
No. Yes, I will. I'm joking.
Just no, there's a little bit of interference on your Wi-Fi. Let me just see.
Yeah.
Oh, he's gone.
Got rid of me. Oh, yeah.
I just had a chat to him in the back, and he said he is definitely joining us this week.
Well, no, I'll join him. I'll do what I can.
Sure we've got the private Facebook group and the WhatsApp group for sharing your accountability. You don't have to tell us every day that you've done it. It doesn't matter. It's just something we're giving there for you to hold on to and motivate you to move forward. Start Bootcampers and Bootcampers in Cumbria. Thank you so much for joining us. And we'll be doing this each Sunday. We might not have a guest every Sunday, but my plan is to have somebody, whether it be a Time Buster trainer, one of the podcasters guests that have been on already, a couple of friends and colleagues of mine who have been in different aspects of the fitness industry, which I'm going to be reaching out this week and asking them to come on, share a bit of their time. So Bootcampers up in Cumbria. Martin is going to be putting the sessions on for this week on the Facebook page. I'm going to have Martin on one Sunday as well. We're going to be able to have a good chat. So Martin, if nobody knows who Martin is, he's the instructor who runs the original boot camp that we started up in Cumbria, which is next to my last unit I was at, RF Spade Adam. And he's doing an absolutely fantastic job up there, just keeping it going. And we've got probably the most, the proudest thing I've got about the boot camps is the people we attract. Okay, like-minded people. And a lot of them are listening now as well. For some reason, we've had a spike in views and we're nearly coming to the end. But anyway, it's the like-minded people who just love having that accountability and shared mindset as well. Bootcamp is in the Northwest. We've got Bootcamp Tuesday and Thursday. Just jump on the Facebook page, DM me if you've got any questions or you've got anybody who wants to come and join us. So, Ricky, Let me just see some of these commenting stuff. Thanks for Sunday, Super Sunday. Emma is going to be there on Thursday and Tuesday. Oh no, she's not going to be there Tuesday. She's giving blood. You usually give blood at boot camp. No, we're not like that. And Emma has signed up for a November burpee challenge for charity.
Ooh.
See, I know subliminal messaging. You see, she loves burpees now. So, Ricky, thank you so much for your time.
No, you're welcome. Thank
We
you.
will stay in touch, and can't wait for your efforts this week.
Oh yeah.
Nothing like being on the live to commit to doing something.
Yeah, I know, right? I knew it was coming at some point.
Right, we're going to sign off. Thank you so much, everybody, and we'll see you in the week. Take care. Bye.